This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
All right, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Outcasts with Buzz and Juice here.
Juice.
To my left, I got my main man, Juice. I am Buzz here on the episode 8. Episode 8, man.
I know, we haven't been canceled yet.
No, we have not been canceled yet. It's 2 months episodes here on Most Valuable Podcast.
Went much longer than I thought we would already.
Yeah, we're doing some special
We're having a good time, though.
Yeah, we're doing
I'm having a great time today. I'm in a great mood today.
Are you? That's good.
Yeah, this has been a nice week. You know, we've had a lot of sports news. This is nice when you come and you write up a show, and hey, you wrote up the show this week, and it's nice that this is full. Bases loaded, as you say.
Yeah, bases loaded show here today, man, on the Outcasts. First things first, please plug what we are drinking.
Yeah, we got Hailstorm Prickly Punch. It's Hailstorm and Burnham Brewing. I actually visited the release date on this beer this weekend with Tony. It was a good time. Great beer. Tastes like punch.
Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
It does, man.
It pours like a nice pinkish kind of color too. I know you can't see it inside the can.
I like pink.
But yeah, it's pretty good. We're enjoying ourselves here, just having a couple. Gonna bring you the best content that we can today.
I think that this beer is kind of celebratory too, because I would like you to get to the special announcement for the Outcast will probably have episodes 9 and 10 next week.
Yeah,
both within 2 days probably. We usually record on Thursdays.
Pumping out content.
So
we don't sleep.
Cheers to the
new
announcement.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
So we've been getting bigger, as we've seen. We've got some nice views going. We've reached some different avenues, which for you too, as well, as you'll announce in a second. But to bring you guys the best content that we can, we have tried to bring on some big names. I understand a lot of our audience isn't necessarily from Chicago. They're from other states, so we're trying to bring a slice of home to you guys. If you used to live here, moved away, never lived here, 670 The Score is one of the biggest radio stations, if not the biggest radio station in Chicago. And the Outcasts have signed on afternoon radio host Danny Parkins.
Yeah, Danny Parkins will be on with us.
So Tuesday morning we're going to record. Danny obviously does the afternoon show, so that's the only time he could really do it, because who wants to do a podcast after you talk on the radio for 5 hours, man?
Right.
So we're thankful for him for coming on, and we're going to try to drop this. That way you guys can look for it next week, Tuesday or Wednesday. That way you guys can see when Danny comes on. We're going to get his opinion on all Chicago sports. It's going to be great. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, so I mean, I was really excited for Juice to announce that today. He worked hard on landing that deal. We have some other stuff in the works that we're not going to announce yet.
Not yet. That's handshake deals.
Deals that we have.
But
that
things
we're
are in the pipes.
About.
They're coming to you. But hey, tell them your big news. You got a huge get this week as well.
Right. So my big news is. Well, I'm just going to go with it. Go to sportsmockery.com for all of your Chicago sports needs, whether that be the Chicago Bulls, the Chicago Blackhawks, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubbies, or the Chicago Bears. For all your literature needs that you would like to read about, you can go over to Sports Mockery, where breaking news is given, and in-depth articles. I actually reached out to a couple of guys at Sports Mockery earlier in the week, and it was actually like last week sometime, and asked them if they would like to come on our show to, talk sports with us, and they were in need of a White Sox writer, and
there you go. I'm sitting right next to him.
Yeah, here I am.
So cheers to that. We've had some good things coming. We're doing it all for you guys, trying to bring you guys the best content that we can, trying to give you the best podcast every week. But we're gonna dive into the show today. Let's go, because you guys don't want to sit and hear us talk about what we're going to bring to you. You guys want to hear that sports content. I know you want it. You want that Chicago sports right now. We're going to give it to you.
We're going to give it to you. But first, if you're on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe to the Most Valuable Podcast channel. If you are listening on iTunes, drop a 5-star rating. And comment down below on why you chose to listen to us. Go to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast to earn yourself some cool prizes by donating to us. When you guys donate, we're able to do some, cooler stuff. So go to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast, donate, earn yourself some cool prizes, and go to mostvaluablepodcast.com to get yourself a cool T-shirt. See all the other shows. Yeah, we have not.
We're gonna wear them soon.
We will wear the T-shirts.
I promise you. We'll match. We'll look dapper.
But on mostvaluablepodcast.com, you can learn about us, get yourself a cool T-shirt, see the Primetime Podcast, the Fast Break, the Onside Kick, and of course your boys, the Outcasts. So today we're going to jump in right into the NBA playoffs because there's nothing to talk about Bulls-wise, guys.
Not yet.
Nothing
We're gonna do some things soon.
Oh, well, one thing we can say about the Bulls real quick is that we were invited to the
lottery party.
The lottery party downtown by the NBC Bulls guys.
So we're thinking about going. We're gonna see if he can get out of work.
If I can get out of work, I'll be there.
But we're gonna try to go and maybe we'll do some type of reaction thing on Periscope or something like that for all you guys who follow us on Twitter.
Periscope's that live feed site, right?
Yeah, just real quick. We'll give them a little 15-minute on our Twitter. So make sure you guys are following us on Twitter at MVP Buzzweed, at MVP Juiceman, because we'll be bringing that live Periscope probably.
Right on. So that's our Bulls news for the day is that we got invited to the party. But jumping in here, man, I wanted to get some reactions from you and tell you what my feelings are. Were you surprised that the Oklahoma City Thunder were bounced out by the Jazz?
No, strictly because I think that defense travels. And the Utah Jazz play great defense. I will say this: in the reaction of the loss for Russ, he's getting some real bad pub here. I think it's unfair. His team it's the guy. There's only so much the guy can do before it's somebody else has got to step up. And we're seeing that with LeBron. But you have to look at the West as it is so much deeper. It is so much harder to get to the second round than it is. Obviously, we saw the Cavs beat the Pacers. LeBron with a great performance in that Game 7. But if you compare stats, Russ was just as good as LeBron was for his team, as LeBron was for Cleveland in that series in the East.
Well, it shows you the difference.
It just shows you the difference of the league, and I just think that it's unfair. These players, like, I understand if you're the number one guy, you get the flack before it's your team. You're the one where the loss hangs on. It's not fair. Is it fair? No, it's not. But hey, the best players are always going to get the rap for the loss. And I think it's kind of unfair the way like Russ is really getting kind of painted. I've heard he's a bad teammate. I've heard that he runs coaches out. He's not running a coach out because they just announced that Billy Donovan's coming back.
Yeah, he only had Scotty Brooks and Billy Donovan. So what are you talking about?
Right. Like, to me, I think Russ is getting a bad rap in this.
Stupid.
And Utah played very well in that series. It's tough to beat a team that's playing team basketball like that.
Well, one thing I wanted to bring up about just Oklahoma City in general is, and this is what I hope does not happen to the Bulls, like where you have too many ball-dominant players. But I knew in the beginning that Westbrook needs the ball.
Right.
George needs the ball. Carmelo doesn't need go.
Yeah, he was terrible.
He's not fast. He's not fast enough to get by anybody anymore. He's not big enough to post up. I mean, it's the same thing with Melo every time. It's either he chucks a three, he gets you in the post, he does his little spin fadeaway. It's over, man.
Yeah,
it's over.
Done.
He needs to be a spot up 3-point shooter. That is what he is now.
It's funny that like if you look at that lineup and the way they played in that series, they were so much better with Grant on the floor opposed to Melo.
And I'll tell you what, any team that is thinking about giving Paul George a max deal, an elimination game, him and Melo combined for 11 points.
Yeah.
I'm not giving, you know what?
Pathetic.
When you play off P, you let Russ drown. That's pathetic. And hey man, I wouldn't do any better. I'm not saying I would. But I mean, for you being a master at your craft and you want to be called one of the elite and you let one of your guys, I mean, there's a couple games where you played well, but they need you to show up for the games that matter.
Yeah, and this kind of this is going to kind of translate us into the next topic. But looking at the way Utah played, it just shows, and we've stressed it so much, that team basketball and team defense and playing for each other will always win, no matter if you have. See, the thing about like when the Heat won those championships with the Big Three, there were always your B and C players coming up and having a big game. Your Mike Millers, your bench guys, your Joel Anthony's coming in and making an impact on defense when they were playing those Bulls teams. Those are the contributions that help you in the playoffs, and Utah got those. They got them last night. Now, do I think that that's a series that's going to go a long way? I don't. I think that the way that they played last night was out of their mind. I don't think that they were going to see Ingles shoot 7 and 9 from 3. But yeah, we got the
little phone thing going crazy.
Went crazy there for a minute. But I don't think that we're going to see Ingles shoot from three like that. I don't think we're going to see Utah shoot from three like that because they shot out of their mind last night.
Absolutely.
But it just shows that sharing the ball, playing team defense, and defense travels. Your offensive game is not always going to be there. And there's some teams that rely heavily on their offensive game in this NBA playoffs. The Utah Jazz do not. They play great defense. They play together. They don't really have a huge name on that team. I do believe
Quinn Snyder had the number one ranked defense in the NBA.
Right.
Correct? So what I find awesome about this is if you know Rubio's out. He's not playing right now, which is very upsetting because I would love to see full-strength Utah against full-strength Houston. Just because of the fact that there's a coming out party this year that we've talked about before on this show, and I'm going to reiterate it again because it's playoff time. Donovan Mitchell is going to be a feared number 2 guard in this league.
Yeah,
and the fact that he came out last night and had a double-double doing point guard duty with Rubio being out, that's huge. This kid is something else. I mean, obviously Russ got his in the first series with Oklahoma against Utah. Russ got his, but so did Donovan Mitchell, and that's a rookie out there who was arguably the second best player in the series. I will say Russ was still the number 1 player in the series because of how he put the team on his back. But Donovan Mitchell is a rookie, guys. I mean, I'm telling you what, right now, I understand Ben Simmons is a freak, and I think he's going to be the better player. Obviously, he probably is now. But
nobody makes more of an impact for that team though than Donovan Mitchell.
No, and the thing is, if Ben Simmons' team is behind, Ben Simmons is going to have to create for other people for his team to win. If Utah is behind, Donovan Mitchell's putting them on their back and he's running.
Yeah, he creates for himself. And this goes back to our whole. I remember when the Bulls were blowing the tank there for a little bit, and we had this conversation about. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're drafted. It matters on the chip on your shoulder, and it matters how much you care about perfecting your craft. We can go through draft upon draft upon draft, and there's always a guy spaced between 12 and 20 that is going to be a top 2, 3 player. Sometimes you even get lucky, and you get Jimmy Butler at the bottom of the draft, who ends up being your guy. Like we've said, not maybe the guy that wins you a championship, but for a while, he was the Bulls guy, So it's smart to do as much evaluation in this draft as you can and take the guy that you truly think is going to be the best in the draft. Utah Jazz got lucky; they got Donovan Mitchell, but I'm sure that they did their due diligence on his scouting report and made sure that he was a Utah Jazz by the time that he was. Their pick was there.
I just want to say one thing for I just ate a pen. On accident there. Oh, my God.
Happens.
Yeah, it happens. I just want to say one thing for Utah Jazz fans, even though we kicked your ass in 2 finals. And I'm sorry about that, but I'm so happy for your team. The fact that you lose a high-profile player like Gordon Hayward and you have not missed a beat. Could you imagine how good
did you imagine that team would go?
Because Gordon can be there. When Donovan creates, Gordon can be there to hit that spot up 3. And that's what Joe Ingles has been doing all year. And I will say one other thing about the Jazz real quick before we move on to their series with Houston in depth. The Jazz won the Rodney Hood, Jay Crowder trade.
Agreed.
Jay Crowder has been playing really well as that small ball 4.
This is what we just talked. LeBron does this to LeBron does this to people. This was on the podcast. LeBron does this to people. I
don't remember talking about it.
He makes there's just so much. And this was during the draft. This was probably our last show. Thank you guys for bearing with us through that. We were obviously trying to do too many things.
We were so excited.
But LeBron's teams and LeBron does this to people where if you're not a guy who is going to be standing at the 3-point line or being obviously not like a catch and shoot, people play better with LeBron. But if you need the ball in your hand, you're essentially playing 5-on-4 because LeBron James is not a spot-up shooter. He doesn't make anybody like that. And Rodney Hood is not a guy to stand in the corner and catch and shoot.
Rodney Hood, I thought, would have been good for the Bulls.
But see, the problem is
that 3.
And I think it comes to coaching, and I will bash Ty Lue on this show as much as I can. Rodney Hood should be a guy who is cutting off the help to the basket, and I do not see that happening. If he is being left, I would do the Ronnie Brewer, Tom Thibodeau. Remember when Ronnie Brewer was here?
Oh, absolutely. Baseline cuts all day.
I want baseline cuts. I don't want you shooting anything that's 10 feet out. I want you getting to the basket, cutting off the ball. If anybody leaves you, you're cutting. Avery Bradley did the same thing when he was with the Celtics. That was the whole Doc Rivers when they were playing in the playoffs. They kept leaving him. I forgot the team that they were playing. Avery Bradley was told just to cut. And he was getting baskets at the rim, and people were helping, knocking threes down or throwing them out to, shooters in the corners. But this is the thing with like LeBron James coach teams. They're not coached by the coach. They're coached by LeBron.
Right.
Like,
there's actually a pretty good stat. Did you see that stat on the bottom left there? It was
we're watching, and we didn't announce. We're watching Cleveland and Toronto as this goes. Second half, 64-63.
Oh, of course. But it was 21 assists for LeBron and 2 turnovers this series. How?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Who's guarding LeBron in this series? That's the thing. Well, they don't have anybody.
It's been OG.
They don't have anybody to guard that beast. But
right.
And that's why they're down 0-1.
Moving on to the Jazz series against Toronto. They're at 1-1 right now. It was a very entertaining.
Jazz Toronto.
I'm sorry. Jazz in Houston. My fault.
Yeah, there we go.
Toronto's on the TV
I'm with you.
right now. But the Jazz Houston series against the Rockets here. Tied 1-1. The Jazz just claimed home court advantage by taking game 2 there in Houston. As far as Houston goes, I still believe they're going to win the series in 6. I do feel the Jazz take one game at home. They got the one in Houston, then the rest of it's over. But I'll tell you what, if they keep doing more of what they're doing by not let James Harden get his and shutting down everybody else around James Harden by playing good defense, I might be wrong, but. As far as that, I don't really want to dive too far into it. Our boy Kelly Scaletta will be on with us. He is a Chicago transplant living now in Houston. He'll be on with us to discuss Houston, whether they win or lose. So be on the lookout for him. He writes for Bleacher Report.
Yeah, my whole thing with this series is they obviously, the Jazz won last night. They even up the series. But when are you going to see Houston shoot 40% from the field, go 10 of 37 from 3, and Harden had a terrible night. I know that in the box score, if you really look at it, like out of the outside, he had 32, but he was 9 of 22 in a volume shooter, and that's what you need to do to James Harden to win. But it's
was it adjustments by Quinn Snyder and the Jazz defense, or was it just an off night at the office?
But they were open too, though. Watching that game, there were open shots that the Jazz were missing last night.
I feel like at the end of the third quarter and the whole fourth quarter, it was either Houston gave up or the Jazz really put the clamps down.
Yeah, no, that was, and if you look at it, the Jazz outscored them 30-23 in the fourth.
Yeah.
So they really did put the clamps on, but I still didn't see enough. I thought it was more Houston having a rough shooting night than it was what the Jazz were doing. And I know that, like, defensively, they played it the best that they could.
It's just another fun matchup.
It is. Everyone always, defense wins championships. I don't think in the NBA that's like that anymore. I think good offense wins.
Man. It's who can outscore who.
But yeah, we can touch more deeply into that once we have Kelly on, because Kelly's going to give us great insight. Make sure you stay tuned for that, because he's great. He used to be on with us when we were talking Bulls, because he was covering the Bulls for Bleacher Report.
Absolutely. The whole LeBron carrying the team on his back thing, against Indiana, wrapping that series up, and bravo to Victor Oladipo. Want to throw that out real quick. Victor Oladipo played one hell of a series, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys and sound like a hater, even though I do not like him at all. But LeBron put the Cavs on his back in Game 7, and he was a beast.
He was unbelievable.
But what I do not like is I think there's a moment in the game where the game changed after Lance Stephenson's flagrant one.
Yeah,
thought that was BS call.
I'm not going to go all NBA conspiracy tinfoil hat here.
I will.
But the calls in that game really dictated the pace of what Indiana was trying to do. I think they really see. This is the thing, when you get in a high profile game like that, you need to control your emotions, and I think the team that controls their emotions the best usually wins the game. Indiana did not, and they're a young team, and they're going to learn how to do that, and they're playing against a LeBron James, a Kyle Korver, a Kevin Love, who's been to the playoffs over and over and over again, and they know the game. And it comes down to every one of these Game 7s, usually, I mean, barring a blowout, comes down to that last 5 minutes and who can capture the moment and who can play the right and get the loose balls. And I thought that the stat in that game that really tipped the whole pendulum was the loose balls and the offensive rebounds in the first half of the game, because it put Indiana behind the 8 ball. And they were really kind of fighting back. And once they did fight back, it was almost like they used all their energy in the third quarter there just to get it even. And when they came down to the end of the game, it looked like they ran out of gas.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing about that whole series. It was a hard-fought series. Well, more than one thing, but at one point. It was a hard-fought series. Couple things I just want to bring up really quick. So I got the basic stats here for 7 games.
Okay.
Out of the series. LeBron James averaged 34.4 points, 10 rebounds, and 7.7 assists, along with 1.4 steals and 1 block. The next closest to him in points scored was Kevin Love at 11.4.
Yeah,
that's something that I can say can't happen, but it is happening, and he is still winning.
Well, they're smart. I'm going to give them tons of coaching credit as much as I just said I would.
Because it was only two people.
Ty Lue a real tough time here. I will say this: they do a good job in game adjusting when it comes to, and this is going to sound like a real flop here because I know I just put him on blast because it's not him coaching.
Oh, he does suck.
But LeBron James and their squad were smart to put their shooters in pin downs and get your Kyle Korvers and your J.R. Smiths and your obviously Kevin Love's outside of the paint and shooting threes, because obviously we had talked about in the last podcast, Kevin Love was having no success inside the paint.
Yeah, Miles Turner and Thaddeus Young were eating him up.
But it's in-game adjustments in these playoffs are huge, as well as these 5 minutes. It's the little things win an NBA game, and Cleveland did more of the little things to win those games than Indiana did, especially in Game 7.
Right. I just think it's insane that there was only 2 double-digit scores for Cleveland. They came away in that series because Victor Oladipo, we already knew he had.
Where's Kyle Korver at on that list?
Kyle Korver is 4th. I'm sorry. No, he is. Oh, yeah, he is 4th.
See, I would like to see
8.3 points per game. I got it all right here.
And I know that's all in like the 7-game series there.
Yeah.
I'd like to see what he's averaging in wins, because it's clearly over 16. Because he's been shooting the lights out.
Oh, yeah, he's been shooting
wins.
lights. I'm sure there's a way to look that up, dude.
Yeah, we'd have to go through it. We're not going to do that now. We're going to go through.
But I just wanted to say
But I'm
one
just saying,
thing.
Kyle Korver is really having a great series for them and a great playoffs. I mean, the other night, too.
Well, once he came alive, they inserted him in the starting lineup.
They're very smart to do it that way.
One thing about Victor Oladipo, 22.7 points, 8.3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2.4 steals. That kid had a coming out party all year, and if he can keep it up and they can get some other talent around him besides Miles Turner, like a real point guard to actually help him get open. I mean, no offense to Darren Collison, because he did have some big games. Collison did have big games. But, I mean, just somebody who's not always looking for their own shot, how I feel Darren Collison is. But just kudos to Vic for coming out and beating some ass.
That was like blueprint Game 7 for Cleveland, too. Miles Turner fouls out early on in the game. They take away Oladipo with LeBron because that's just what they do. They put LeBron on whoever is the best player, and they make anybody else beat them.
That's what he did to Rose.
And they did. And Oladipo was still successful at getting at the rim. I'll say this: he was still creating shots. I wish they would have played Lance Stevenson more. I know that.
Oh, but that's great TV.
That's my inner fandom too. But I thought he was. I thought he was effective. Like, I think the best way to beat LeBron is to just beat the hell out of him for the whole game. Like, just for 48 minutes up and down the court, and Lance Stevenson is probably the best at that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just want to touch real quick, because we've just been talking about LeBron being so dominant. I'm saying Cavs in 5.
In the way this game is going right now, it looks like it's just a route.
I'm not even going to waste my time with Lowry, DeRozan. I had it written down here, but I'm just not going to waste my time. Like, Toronto needs a closer if they're going to win, and Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan have both shown.
They just don't do it.
They can play 32 minutes of basketball. They can't play 48.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts. And as we watch, they're down 9 here. Toronto is. This is just not.
I'm at 36.
This just isn't a great matchup for Toronto, because I was reading Toronto actually, out of all the teams in the East, gave up the most points to who? The Cleveland Cavaliers this season. They just can't. It's just not a good matchup because LeBron James can get anywhere on the floor against anybody. And once they start to double, it's over because they have shooters like J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver.
There's a for sure thing that I tweeted out yesterday. What is it called? Death, taxes. LeBron beats Toronto.
Always. Yeah, you could probably plug the Bulls in that too. I mean,
I won't do that.
And I know we won't because we're fans, but
I won't do that.
I mean, LeBron James has owned the Eastern Conference for forever now. You know, it's almost like if you're a Bulls fan, and I hate to say this, you're just waiting for him to just putter out.
Oh, I'm just waiting for him to retire. I have fully accepted if he does not go to Houston like I think he's going to, and he stays, I have fully accepted that if I give him 2 more straight finals, probably. If he goes to Philly or something, then oh my God, but
neither here nor there. That's a squad.
But my last topic here. I mean, I guess I'm gonna do this first. This topic first. Golden State and New Orleans. I put. Who cares? Warriors are going to win anyway.
Yeah, it's so true.
So AD. I mean, we're hoping playoff Rondo and Drew Holiday can still do the work on the guards, but basically...
Please just say that again.
What?
Say it again.
Drew Holiday.
I wish we had Drew Holiday and Rondo.
Yeah, no, it's...
No, that ain't happening. That's the funniest thing. Like, trust me, I love Anthony Davis. I think he's one of the best out there. But Anthony Davis is going to have to drop like 75 points in each game to beat Golden State.
Is it selfish that I want Nico to go 0 for 18 every time? As much as I hate Golden State, too. Because
I'm trying to win the trade, too, buddy.
Yeah. Screw you, Nico, and screw you, Pelicans fan who talk crap to me on Twitter.
Oh, you got Pelicans fans coming at you on Twitter?
Oh, I mean, that was that one tweet that I garnered like 11,000 impressions with when Nico tweeted out, he put like the hands up emoji. Like he's, they bullshit and traded me type thing. And then I wrote to him like, dude, you sucked. And I threw some stats on there. I'm like, don't even talk crap about my city, man. You were garbage with your bullshit pump fakes and all that stuff. And I know like we get a couple swears on each episode, but you were a bullshit player. And I hated, Man, Aaron bought that dude's jersey because, we were excited when he came over. And, you know what I'm saying? That dude you were nothing but a letdown in Chicago, and it shows you never worked on your damn game. And I'm glad Bobby Portis broke your face for being a douche.
Should have been standing there.
So I'm not even going to touch that series now because I got pissed off.
What is there to touch? Golden State is a nightmare for anybody who plays them.
Right.
Who can match up? Nobody.
No one.
Name a team. I don't even think the All-Star team
and then,
this year could match up with that.
Well, that is the All-Star team.
Oh, well, absolutely.
So, and then I got Sixers in 6 against the Celtics.
Yeah, they got to stop
Tatum and
Scary Terry, man.
Yeah, Scary Terry Rozier. Yeah, he's been playing real well. But I still got Sixers in 6. I think they lose last night, but I don't think that Boston can be the jump shooting team like they were in game 1, like Golden State is every game.
See, I'm going to go coin flip in 7. This is where we
Oh,
I
really?
don't know.
I got Sixers in 6.
No, because I think that Boston, the Boston Celtics are playing they're playing with house money. Both of their number 1 players are out. Mm-hmm. Hayward's been out since the beginning of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Kyrie's out. They're playing with scrubs and Horford. Scrubs, per se. Now, I'm not going to say that, they're scrubs. They have a very deep team.
Jaylen Brown's going to be a badass. Jason Tatum.
I agree. But I'm just saying, Kyrie and Hayward are guys who get you to the finals. Brown and Rozier are guys who come up and help you get there. They don't get you there by themselves. But I'm going
Maybe
to
Brown
say
one
that
day.
Not yet. That's the thing.
Right.
Looking at what we have now, I think he's going to be a great player.
That's why I say Sixers in 6.
But see, this is why I go coin flip, because they're playing together, playing with house money. They're playing for Kyrie and Hayward. I think that gives them at least 3 wins in the series. I'll still take the Sixers in 7, but I think that this is going to be much more difficult than we think for the 76ers, strictly because they're playing team ball. I know these Brad Stevens coach teams are going to be well coached. They're going to take away what the Sixers do best, and they're going to make players like Bellinelli beat them in this series. And they're going to take away. I know Embiid had 31, I believe, and Simmons was everywhere as well. But they're going to make, at the end of the game, they're going to take that away, and they're going to make somebody else beat them.
I think adjustments are going to be made. You have to look that Boston had the home court advantage in game 1, and the Sixers are a young team, but I think that we're going to watch I think we're going to watch Embiid, Simmons, and Dario Saric really do some damage here. And then with the leadership of a veteran named J.J. Redick, I think is going to help. Man, you just cracked that without me. And,
I thought you were still going.
Oh, dude.
These are like super.
They're so good. But yeah, I think that the Sixers. God, see, it hit me in the eye again.
Shouldn't stand there.
But I still say Sixers in 6. Look for Ben Simmons, Dario Saric, and Joel Embiid to make some noise here tonight at 7:30. And
see, I said Sixers in 7 just because it's just Brad Stevens, man. He's a great coach.
Great coach.
I think he's going to make the adjustments. I really think that you're going to see a good series there.
Yeah,
I think that showed too in Game 1.
I think we possibly could, but I'm still saying Sixers in 6. But I'll take your
fair.
Sixers in 7. So transitioning from our NBA talk. Thank you guys, man. Like, it was so fun to actually talk about.
I know, it went a long time.
Yeah, well,
like normally we don't like.
Dude, it's fun not to talk. Like, listen, there's only so much Bulls we can do right
and we
now.
love it, and
I
we're
love the
hoping
Bulls.
one day. The Bulls are in the playoffs. We're doing this. Excuse me.
Why?
And we're doing this, and we can sit and break down every single second of why they lost or why they won.
Right.
That's my goal. But until we get there, we're going to have to plug and play some NBA talk here.
Yeah, I mean, people are interested in the NBA, and we got a lot of stuff talking about NBA playoffs. I got a lot of stuff on Twitter about that, which was awesome, so we
Heck
did.
Yeah. No, yeah, I loved it. We're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, and be sure to check in-depth breakdowns with the Fast Break.